Hello, everyone, and welcome to CDO Magazine interview series. And I'm Dave Mariani, the CTO and co-founder at AtScale, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. And today, I have the pleasure of talking with Kiran Kanetkar. And Kiran is the Senior Director of Data Engineering, BI, and Analytics at Petco. So, Kiran, welcome. Good to meet you.
Yes, great to be on this call. Thanks, Dave, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Looking forward to this discussion here.
When it comes to sort of some of the stack and the tools that you use to sort of deliver self-service, Kiran, what are some of the things that you like or that you're looking at that you think could really help in delivering self-service to the business?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the tools, primarily we are looking at more open source kind of technologies to make sure there is a lot of new development that is happening in the open source world. So we are using Python primarily for a lot of our data and analytics use cases, and then some of the tools that go along with Python, which are even tools like there is now a tool, DBT as one of the tools that is also used for. Basically, it's a model-driven kind of a development approach that we're following. Other Apache or open source tools like Airflow is there for orchestration framework. And of course, data scientists like to use R or some of these other open source models like TensorFlow or XGBoost, those kinds of. So there is a variety of those tools that are available and they are constantly being updated in the market as we move along. So we just would like to keep track of those and make sure we provide the capability of those tools to all of our business users so that they can use them effectively.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the popularity of data modeling come back and semantic layers and the like. So and DBT had a lot to do with that. So it's really good to see. Kiran, when it comes to the cloud, on-prem versus the cloud, how does that factor into delivery of self-service analytics?
Yeah, I think I talked about at the beginning about the scale of data, right? How we are using the data so effectively. And I think if you are on-premise, then we are always going to have problems scaling your infrastructure with the vast amount of data. So that's the reason I moved all of our data and analytics into the cloud. I think cloud definitely provides the storage is pretty cheap out there in the cloud. And then one of the great things about cloud is basically you can scale the infrastructure. Let's say if you have a huge volume of data that you want to train a model on, and that training is maybe just once a week or once a month, whatever that frequency might be. So you will need a huge infrastructure only for that particular time. So to be able to scale up or down in terms of what compute, you can only do that effectively in a cloud environment. On an on-premise environment, you can't really match the capabilities of all the big cloud providers such as Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. So I think cloud is definitely the way to go when it comes to analytics to make sure you are using the right scale of compute power.
Yeah, I just saw that one of Gartner's predictions for 2022 is that 50% of enterprises will have their data infrastructure in the cloud by the end of the year. So yeah, definitely everybody's getting religion around that. There's so Kiran, there's like I want to get your opinion on the sort of war between the data warehouse versus the data lakehouse. You have two startup behemoths out there, Snowflake, who's saying put everything in a cloud data warehouse. You got Databricks saying forget about the data warehouse, make it all a lake house. And so what's your take on that war, and what would be your advice to people out there who are sort of thinking about those two different design patterns?
Yeah, I think once you go into the cloud for let's say a data warehouse, so actually we do use Snowflake as our enterprise data warehouse running in the cloud, and I think that does provide an option to actually use that as a data lake as well. So traditionally the data warehouse is most companies have utilized. But data warehouses come with their own set of processes, in the sense that there have been models, right, where star schema or snowflake schema that people have used. And what I have seen is, whenever you have a really governed model like that, um, to get the data and insights from that data model, it can be challenging for business teams, as we are trying to do more of a self-service. If it is really a normalized kind of a structure and tables, uh, business teams may not understand that, because let's say if you take a subject area like customer analytics, for example, and customer data might be spread across multiple different tables, business teams are not going to be able to know how to join these tables and how to use those tables across. So that's where I think more of a schema on read concept, we're using data lake, is taking more precedence to enable self-service. Because if you have some of the flat structures and you can define the schema on the fly, uh, that is more suited for uh, self-service kind of a model. So I think I see that there needs to be some level of governance for sure. So for that purposes, you could use a data warehouse and tables within that data warehouse. But a lot of the agility for business is needed using, and then they will use self-service for that agility. So I think that's where the lake can provide a lot of capabilities.
Yeah, it's for sure. Agility is king, and new data is arriving all the time. Data is changing. You got to have a way of of expressing that. So and you hear a lot about data ops, and people are sort of using data ops techniques, and data ops is like sort of the parallel to DevOps, where there's CI/CD kind of techniques applied to data pipelines. Do you what's your opinion on that, Kiran, and in terms of Petco and what you've seen? Are you looking at data ops techniques, and have you applied them in your data pipelines?
Yes, yeah, I think data ops is definitely needed as we move forward, because one of the things that comes with when you are moving data and analytics into the cloud, cloud is a pay as you go kind of a model, right? So if you keep the lights running, you're going to get the bill for it. So that's where the automation has to be in place, because once you're done with processing, you want to shut down whatever servers that you might have spin up. So, and that automation capabilities can only be built in using data ops kind of methodologies. So in fact, that's what I use. Is I have a DevOps resource within my team, which will take care of this automation. So I think that is where the direction is to implement more of a data ops mentality when you're dealing with data and analytics. So I think that's definitely needed as we do data and analytics in the cloud.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make, because a lot of enterprises and IT who have been sort of used to working on prem, where you've already purchased the equipment, and so running it 24/7 doesn't matter, right? Because you purchased the equipment, and you don't really recognize that cost. But when you move to the cloud, and like you said, if it can't be always on, you have to change your habits when you move to the cloud, because always on means that you're going to be spending a ton of money, and that's not good. So that automation is key, and that's a really good point you made. So Kiran, thank you for joining me today. You really are a pioneer in data and analytics, and we've sort of talked about that today. And so for the audience, please visit cdomagazine.tech. That's cdomagazine.tech. For additional interviews. So Kiran, thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
Thank you, Dave. It was great talking with you today. Thank you.